Episode 6 of Season 2 of Severance entitled Attila. Now, let's get right up into it. We start out with Mark talking to Rebeck about his experience with seeing Gemma. Mark said that it felt like a nightmare. He wants to know what they're doing to her. Rebeck says that all she knows is that Gemma, aka Miss Casey, is essential. Rebeck believes that they can get Gemma out and bring her home. Mark implies that he's willing to do anything to get her back. Bitch, you can see in Mark's eyes that he is ready to risk it all to get his girl back. Find you a man like Mark and then ask him if he has a brother. Next at work, we see Dylan, Mark, and Helena. Dylan's trying to tell them about Irv's drawing of the hallway. Mark and Helly are intrigued and she's willing to go retrieve the drawing. Dylan, however, is skeptical about telling them where to find it as he is nervous about losing his privilege of playtime at work with his wife. Helly thinks they're acting like pussies. Dylan walks off and Mark opens the fridge to see that it's glitching like from Rebeck's experiment. Next thing you know, he's switching between work and home. Helly doesn't notice it at all. Next, we see Milkshake's fine ass staring off into the distance in deep thought. Miss Wong's weird ass knocks and enters. He tells her to sit down. He tells her he had his performance review and she asks how it went. Though, based on her body language, something tells me her weird ass already knew how it went. He says there were some valid concerns that he plans to address. He goes on to say that she can only graduate once he deems her worthy as wintertide material. He says that will entail her getting over her childish foolishness, or folly as he said. And I'm like, Milkshake, she's 12. Relax. She's cooperative. He says he'll be busy the rest of the day and that he needs her to take over for him from her own desk. Baby, she got so excited to sit at his desk, but no ma'am. Okay, killed that little girl's dreams. Next, we see Mark and Helena in a damn bathroom stall talking. Mark tells her about how Milkshake checked his ass on the elevator for leaving 6 minutes early. Helly is ready to nuck if she buck until, out of the blue, he tells her that they fucked. Girl, she ain't know what to say, okay? You can see in Helly's face that she wanted the D. How dare Helena rob her of Mark's D that she worked for? It's on sight when she sees Helena, okay? That's what her actions were saying. Mark says he was tricked, while Helly thinks that it's just another tactic from Helena to divide them. Baby, Helly left and went for a walk before she bust Mark upside of the head. Okay, bitch, Helly went to the hallway for a walk and took her heels off. That's how you know it was real. Next, we see Milkshake looking at some paper clips. And I'm like, what? That was one of his critiques, and I just hollered because he is gonna make sure that them paper clips are in place. All right. Next, we see Dylan's Annie and his wife catching up on how they met. She tells him that he's bounced around in different careers and wonders if he's just not happy. He says that she and his offspring makes him happy. Dylan has got it bad for his Audi's wife. He asks for a hug and they hug and then they start kissing. Helly is sitting in the corner in the hallway, bitch. Helena and Mark got her fucked up, and she is plotting some shit. I could see it, all right? Mark is the only one at his desk working. You can tell he feels bad. He goes into the hallway to further apologize to Helly. She says that it should have been her that got that dick, and I'm like, well, yes. She says that Helena used her and controls her and the company and is disgusted by it. Talk your shit, Helly. Or Helena. Mark says he could explain how he laid the pipe on Helena, which, Mark, girl, what woman wants to hear that? Please, Mark. And so Helly says she wants to create her own memories. Mark said, bet. Tell me when and where, baby. He followed her down that narrow-ass hallway to her dark room. They made a tent out of some plastic covers. He lifted up that pencil skirt and they got it in. Now, Mark, you talking about you out here looking for Miss Casey, but the only thing you seem to find is your ding-a-ling underneath Helena or Helly's pencil skirt. And if this is Helena again, this means A, diabolical. Absolutely diabolical, Helena. And B, that also means that Mark got some fire dick and she wanted some more, bitch. Helena. Oh my God. Okay. Next, we see Milkshake's fine ass practicing his paperclip placements. You see how much harder black people gotta work? We gotta be 10 times better, bitch. Don't at me. Okay? He's going through his entire review, and his next concern is his large vocabulary. You see what I mean? A white man would never. Bitch, they have my man in the mirror like Michael Jackson, stripping down his vocabulary during Black History Month. Please. Okay? I rebuke it. Mark and Helly just finished fucking. She wants to know if her box was better than Helena's. And I'm like, girl, y'all got the same box. Please. Mark pins her ass against the wall and she has a nosebleed. Then Mark has a nosebleed. They go to Miss Wong, who is nursing them. Miss Wong's weird ass asks what they were doing during the nosebleed, and Helly looked like she saw a damn ghost. Helly's trying to hide her nosebleed. Mark is now back in his place during Ragabi's experiment. Out of nowhere, he's as confused as I am. Regabi wants to get to the bottom of where he is. She described it as a crossover memory. She says that he'll feel gaps in time until it all comes together. She wants to speed up the process, which would put Mark at risk of hemorrhage. She says to avoid that, they'll flood the chip in his head. Mark is fed up and is not about to do this. Okay, bitch, Mark said he was hungry, so left the whole experiment. Next, we see Irv. I love Irv. He's waiting outside of Bert and his husband Fields' house. Baby Irv combed his mustache before going to the door. Irv is on a mission to get his man, okay? He knocks on the door. Bert opens and goes inside. We meet Bert's husband, Fields, who seems delightful. I really do just love the older gays. Irv apologizes to Fields for how his innie pulled up the last time. Now, baby, Fields is very forgiving and tells Irv that's what's his is Irv's and looks at Bert. And I'm like, now it seems like Fields and Bert are on some freaky shit, okay? They're sitting having dinner and Irv asked Bert how he ended up at Lumen. Bert said Jesus. And by that, he meant that he didn't think he was going to heaven to be with Fields. And one day at church, the sermon was about severance. The pastor said that innies are people with souls, which means that an innie can go to heaven while its outie goes straight to hell. Baby, Fields said he'd settle for having Bert's innie in heaven. My God. Next, we see Mr. Drummond going into someone's home. I didn't know whose home it was. Was it Regabi's? I was a little confused, but he was looking very sneaky. Dylan's outie is at home with his wife and kids. She looks bothered and uninterested. She lied and told Dylan's outie that her meeting with his innie was canceled. I think she just may be more intrigued by Dylan's innie than him. Next, we see Mark eating at a Chinese restaurant because, he was hungry. As he's finishing up, he sees Helena sitting at a table near him. Now, bitch, he's just as confused as me because what is she doing there? She approaches him and introduces herself like he didn't already know who she was. She sits down and apologizes for his OTC from the other night. She is sitting here trying to flirt with Mark, which just confirms that Mark has that fire dick. I don't care. Girl. Helena says that he should meet her father and that he'd be the first, just a bunch of small, sarcastic talk, and again, that dick has to be fire. She apologizes again for the OTC and mentions his wife, but calls her Hannah. And I'm like, bitch, who? Baby. Mark corrected her ass so fast and said Gemma. Now, where did she get Hannah from? And why are you mentioning her? It seemed very ingenuine. She apologizes for his loss and he starts that weird cough again. They have a weird stare off and say goodnight. Back to Irv and Bert's dinner, where Bert was referred to as Attila back in the day, 20 years ago. Fields recalls having drinks with Bert's Lumen partner at that time, but Irv is confused because the first severed office only opened 12 years ago. So now it seems like Bert and Fields are hiding some shit. Fields then asks if he thinks that both Bert and Irv ever had sex at work. He thinks that innies deserve to experience love and that he hopes that they got to experience that. Next, we see Mark rushing home to apologize to Ragabi for being a dick and wants to continue his experiment. She prepares to fill his chip by cutting his head open. She inserts the needle and successfully fills it. Mark instantly begins having flashbacks and sits up quickly. Ragabi tells them that he can't be sitting up so fast. He got to slow down. They then hear Devin knocking at the door. Devin comes in with more plans to connect with his innie as Mark says he's already on it. Mark is losing it, sweating, paranoid and angry. Devin is thrown off. He sees another vision of Gemma and then faints. Devin is freaking out. Ragabi runs in as Devin asks who the fuck she is. Mark is foaming out the mouth. Just a big mess. Lastly, back to the end of Bert and Irv's dinner. Bert assures that Fields was just talking shit and that Severance was truly not around for 20 years. Irv says that they should get together again, and Bert wants to know if he means just the two of them or with Fields. Bert is shooting his shot. Baby Irv says he is down for whatever. That makes Bert happy. Irv walks off to his car as Bert watches him with a suspicious look on his face. Now, Bert, what do you know that we do not know? Another episode of Severance. You know, I've heard some reviews from some friends who haven't really been enjoying it so much, but listen, I am loving it. I am intrigued. I am a sci-fi freak, and I am excited to see what happens next. What is Helly up to? What is Mr. Drummond's big ass up to? And please leave my man Milkshake alone. Let's talk in the comments.